Yo, what is going on today, guys? We're back here for another video. So this is the same day as I just got second at the Arceus Day tournament. 840 players, 839 to be exact, but I just rounded it up. Yeah, I got second place with Espeon, losing to the evil that is Dartina. And we're about like 1 week into the meta for the new set, Wisdom of Sky and Sea. Long name, I really don't know why they chose that, but however, I think it's time for a meta deck tier list because I just felt like I have a pretty accurate one. So I have like most meta relevant decks. I might be missing like one or two to be honest, but I feel like in my opinion these are like the best of the best, or just like decks that are like represented. So for the tiers we have tier 1, best of the best, tier 1.5 like almost tier 1, but maybe I'm either downplaying or just like a small issue I feel like holds them back compared to like the top, whether that be consistency, like a rough matchup. Tier 3 is going to be not the most popular or consistent, but pretty good. I think I skipped tier 2, bro, which is just good, but some rough matchups here and there, or like consistency also. And then we have at the bottom not good. So yeah. So starting off with tier 1, the very first deck I'm going to be placing is actually going to be Darkrai Giratina. So I think just Darkrai Giratina is one of the strongest decks, and it kind of just does good in everything. So like Dartina had like I don't know if it was like really bad to stuff like Solgaleo or Zard, if they got that right away. Those two cards are pretty absent. With the addition of Rocky Helmet, you get like Dilf or Ikorio, which is like pretty meta relevant at the moment. And yeah, I mean the only real losing matchup, whereas like Oricorio was like annoying, but it's like not unwinnable, double Rocky Helmet. And then even stuff like Buzzwole is still doable, bro. Like, yeah, Buzzwole's a grass deck, it has advantage. But we've even seen like stuff like Extra Dimensional Crisis, like Dartina is just still able to beat Buzz. Has a very good Espeon matchup where I think it's almost like impossible to freaking lose the Espeon, dude. I think I beat like one Dartina in my life playing Espeon. And that's also what I lost to in Grand Finals. So I think because Espeon is very strong and beats a lot of other meta decks, I think Dartina is just one of the best decks, if not the best deck currently in the game. For another tier 1 deck, I think Buzzwole, bro. I think because Dartina is very popular, I think Buzzwole is good. The good thing about Buzzwole is one, Buzzwole doesn't really necessarily mind about Oricorio. Like, yeah, it can be annoying, but like you have stuff like Pheromosa, Cortana for the pings. Most Oricorio decks don't really run hailing, so like Pheromosa can be able to knock them out. Cortana, worst case, like you have Celesteela. But the main reason that Buzzwole is better because I feel like Zard, bro, just Zard is not as like meta relevant. It's like kind of taking like a downward spiral, bro. Like it's still a strong deck, but like it just doesn't have like the play rate or the usage rate that it had towards like the whole last season, bro. Also Solgaleo is like not there either. So like with Zard and Solgaleo being like kind of like out of the meta at the moment, Buzz is just kind of eating, bro. It has like two bad matchups. It just loses to both Psychic EV box and like the regular EV box, both Flareon, Leafeon, and then obviously Espeon, Sylveon. And besides that, bro, kind of just beats everything else. I'm not gonna lie. Like I'm kind of like looking down at the other tiers, and yeah, dude, it has like two bad matchups, and that's it. And even those like two matchups like aren't like the most like play like. And even we've got like the recent tournament, dude, in the Arceus, you can go to the meta game. We can see here, like, yeah, like sure, Espeon and EV box had like 37 to 27 players, but they don't have the numbers, at least this week, that like stuff like all these decks above are putting up. And we could also see here Buzzwole's like the second most played deck as well, just behind Giratina with only 5 less players. So yeah, Buzz is just one of those decks that has everything, bro. Pheromosa, I already talked about it right there. Pheromosa for the bench damage, enabling Cyrus, Erica, Leaf Cape, Lucamine, Celesteela, they just have it all, bro. They literally just have it all. Yeah, so for the final tier 1 deck, I'm actually going to put Savali. I think Savali is very strong right now. Both the Zorora version as well as the Pichu version, obviously being played with stuff like, it's just played for Ikorio. Dude, like Pichu lets Savali like consistently be able to attack going first. Like obviously attack for 100 on your second turn going first. And Oricorio is just one of the strongest cards right now in the meta because almost every single deck is EX dominated. Combine can get like good consistency of Savali and just the the nice 100 damage. It's just a fast aggressive deck, dude, that can kind of like just like tear out early game before your opponent can really set up. Going second is very dominant, always has been. You know, we had the going second meta during ED Crisis because of Savali. With the addition of Pichu, the deck has only gotten stronger, and the Zeraora variant, bro, has just kind of lasted in the last 2 metas, and it's just very strong. So next up for the deck I played the most, Espeon. And this is exactly why I say I might be downplaying, because I think Espeon is very good. Obviously I just got second, and however, I think the main thing I don't like about Espeon, so if we look at all these other decks, I feel like, yeah, Darktina can be Buzzwole. I think Buzzwole could be Savali. I think Savali can be Buzzwole. I think all these decks can beat each other. I don't think Espeon can beat Dark Giratina very consistently. I think it's just like almost an unwinnable matchup. Zard is also almost unwinnable sometimes, you know, if you don't brick them with like silver or red card. So I think just because Espeon has like 2 very bad matchups, and I guess you could say the same thing for, you could also say the same for Buzzwole, because I said it had a very bad matchup to Espeon of Flareon. But I don't know, dude, because at least like Buzzwole, you have like basically everything. I just feel like Espeon going first is like, you know, is like the very big downside. You really want to go second with the deck. Going first is not a killer, and there's been many times I've won going first. But yeah, I don't know. I just feel like the matchup to Darktina, because Darktina is like the most popular deck, is the reason I'm gonna put it like 1.5 tier, like a half tier lower than tier 1. But to be honest, like it literally can be a tier 1 deck. Don't get me wrong. The only justification, like I said, is literally just the matchup to Darktina. But being able to heal 30, bro, is nice. Like we have a lot of cards that don't do heavy damage. Like we have like stuff like Savali that probably does the most in one singular turn, like fast. You know, all these other decks are like 120, but they have like setup. So this lets Espeon live early game like 1 to like 3 hits most of the time. Like most of the time with my Espeon in the active spot, I can live up to 3 hits before it gets taken out. So the sustainability just with Espeon, you know, you have the drop power of Sylveon, you have the access to the non-EX Sylveon, you also have the power if you're playing the non-EX Espeon, which is pretty good also against Oricorio and Dark Giratina. And yeah, I just think it's one of the best decks, dude, currently in the meta. And like I said, bro, maybe I'm just downplaying about putting it in this tier, but I do think it's still good. So for the next tier 1.5 deck, it's actually kind of funny. So I'm going to put EV Box, I'm going to put the Leafeon Flareon version in tier 1.5. And it's kind of the same thing, dude. I just think the deck is strong. You know, it has some weaknesses. I think it kind of just beats like everything, bro. It kind of has like the same matchup spread, except I think it's like a little bit better than Dark Giratina, like 100%, because you have 1 Leafeon for the grass damage against Darkrai, Flareon just to be able to one-shot something. However, you are like way more reliant on like getting a Leafeon, whereas like, you know, in the Espeon Sylveon deck, you have like 2 attackers. Even though like most of the time you just want to attack with Espeon, like Sylveon is always an option. Plus, you know, you have the more consistency with the 2 Sylveon EXs. Yeah, I don't really know what much to say, dude. I just think it's good, bro. I think it's almost like a little bit under, if not as equal with Espeon. So everybody knew the king of the game last season was actually going to be Sylveon Greninja, which is just going to be represented by the Sylveon here. Essentially, it just kind of got worse. You just got worse matchups. You know, with the baby Pokemon, a lot of decks can be more aggressive. You also have Silver to rip stuff like Cyrus or Professor Research, you know, hurting their consistency. I would say Espeon is pretty good. So essentially, also Oricorio is really meta relevant, although like it can beat Oricorio. Like it's pretty decent at beating Oricorio with the Greninjas. Dude, actually, I don't even know exactly why it's worse. Like I don't know how to explain it, but it just is. It like literally just is. Like it's just worse. It's just worse, bro. It has like more bad matchups, like stuff like Buzzwole is like very high representation, so is Dark Giratina, which I feel like does pretty good into it. Although actually I'm not sure about the Dark Giratina match, but I feel like they probably do win it because it's Dark Giratina. Like I said, I think Espeon does good. I think EV Box does good. You know, Savali with the Pichu going first can just nuke the deck before they can evolve and do anything and go very aggressive. So I think it's just kind of like balanced out, bro. Like I don't think it's bad by any means. I think you just got some worse matchups. You know, Silver kind of hurt the consistency of the Cyrus, bro. Yeah, dude, I actually don't know what I'm talking about, bro. I don't know why it's worse. I just know it's worse. So I'm kind of just making stuff up. But it's definitely not as good as it used to be. And I do think it's like a tier 2 deck now. So I think it's actually balanced out. Like I actually don't even have a problem with the deck anymore. And maybe that's just because I play Espeon, but like I used to like hate seeing that deck, but now I see it, I'm like, all right, whatever. So the next one is going to be Zard, and the reason Zard is here, I can actually explain it, is because Oricorio got buffed with Pichu. Savali Oricorio is just very strong right now. So some other Oricorio decks, but the main one is really Savali Oricorio. Darktina is also a deck, which, you know, doesn't beat it, but it can beat it, you know, with the right setup. Silver probably helps, you know, ripping the lilies out of their hands also. That's another thing, bro. Like silver, like, you know, like grabbing a silver out of their hand so they can't find the rare candies or like the Zards, very strong. Because if you don't find Zard fast enough, bro, your opponent can't just sweep the game and beat you, you know, because you do have to take that turn to stoke up. So essentially, like, the consistency got hit with silver, where Corio was just more meta relevant. And yeah, man, that's just like the main two reasons. So I do expect Zard to come back, dude. I do expect him to come back. However, currently I think it's like a tier 2 deck. Some other ones, bro, like Donphan is cool. Just a speed run, bro. Like Donphan is cool. I think it is a very fun deck. You know, usually either played with Donphan, Lucario, something like Tyrogue or Hitmontop. I've seen some like just Donphan, Rampardos decks. You know, very strong to be able to attack into the EVs and do massive amount of damage. Fanfi can one-shot a 60 HP EV with a Geo. Tyrogue can also knock out baby Pokemon with a Geo, stuff like that. Obviously, you know, Fanfi can also just without a Geo. So strong into like stuff like Savali, or Corio. But like against stuff like Buzz and Dark Tina, it kind of does bad. I also think it does pretty bad in the Espeon and EV box. So it's one of those decks that can like high roll, you know, going first with Donphan. Maybe like a Lucario can be very powerful. However, because you are a double stage 1 deck, you know, you lack the consistency of some other decks. Like you don't have any draw power. You could play Hiker, but you know, you look at your deck, so you have to like wait a couple turns, you know, and maybe you just draw something bad. Yeah, like don't get me wrong, like it's a deck that can win and it's a deck that can do good, but it just has a lot of problems, a lot of bad matchups in the current meta. But that doesn't mean you shouldn't play it, bro. It's a very fun deck. I do recommend I recommend it if you want to have fun, not if you want to win. But it definitely is not like garbage. Okay, for the next deck, dude, we have Umbreon, and I'm gonna be so real, bro. I think Umbreon is pretty trash. So Umbreon like has the unfortunate position, and maybe we just don't have an optimized Umbreon deck. Like Umbreon did like pretty good day 1, and then everybody just kind of realized that is actually pretty mid. And I think the reason it did good is because everybody was trying new decks out. Maybe it could be a tier 3 deck, dude, but I actually like don't even believe in it. As a matter of fact, just out of curiosity, let's just go to the Arceus day and let's just see if there's actually like a single Umbreon, like, and like what was the highest placing one. So it looks like the possible highest one was number 210, and I just don't believe in it, bro. I mean, you could say the same thing for Donphan. I know Donphan did pretty bad also at this tournament. Like 113, and I think there's like the other variant of Rampardos that got 73rd. I mean, like, so this person like barely missed top cut. At least Donphan had a chance to make top cut. Umbreon didn't even come close. I'm not a believer, bro. I don't think the deck is good. I literally do not think the deck is good because you have to go second. You have to have Umbreon. You have to have a Greninja right away for it to even be good. Like, there's just no reason to play it over Espeon. Espeon just does exactly what Espeon wants to do. Well, obviously not exactly, but it just swings for 80 and Espeon doesn't die. Umbreon dies and has no other attacker. Where like at least you have like non-EX Sylveon, Sylveon EX, you have non-EX Espeon, just 2 Espeon EXs. Umbreon has 2 Umbreons, dude, if you snipe one of the EVs. And it's just not good, bro. I think Espeon or Umbreon can always be better in the future, bro, when we get better dark cards to pair with it. However, I don't think Darkrai is a good partner because Umbreon needs 2 dark. So we just have to kind of wait and see how it does in the future, bro. But I'm not a believer, bro. I actually think it's like pretty dog. And just so it's not alone, bro, I'm just gonna put Garchomp. I don't think Garchomp is that good either. Like, I'm just like looking like Buzzwole is like the second best deck. So is Darkrai, Giratina. I mean, Garchomp like sure can do 50 damage. Rampardos. I mean, Rampardos could probably Garchomp Rampardos could probably be decent against Darktina. Also pretty good against Savali. Actually, bro, like low-key Garchomp, low-key. I think Garchomp is probably better than Umbreon, bro. I gotta be so real. I don't think there was a Garchomp that did good. I could be wrong though. Like I could try to find one Garchomp Sylveon. I mean, he did get 6-2, so it barely missed top cut. You know, 6-2 was able to qualify. However, their win rate was probably just not the best. So, like, if I'm ordering this, bro, like, I'll put Garchomp above. And, like, I can't imagine, like, Garchomp is good against Espeon. Like, sure, if you high roll, like, Rampardos, then yeah. But, like, you're swinging for 50. I mean, they're healing for 30. It's gonna take a minute to be able to knock them out. Buzzwole is just one of the best. Buzzwole is, like, the second or third best deck, dude. So, and so is Oricorio. Obviously, you know, they can deal for Oricorio. But it can be annoying, you know, if they don't find that skull fossil. Zard and Greninja. I also think Leaf Box is a pretty bad match. No, I just think Garchomp has too much bad matchups, dude. And like maybe it could be a tier 3, bro. And maybe it rises up in the meta as more people realize that it can do good against, I guess, like 2 of these decks, maybe. But I think currently, bro, it's just not that good. Honestly, bro, maybe it's like a tier 3 deck. Maybe it could even be like tier 4, bro. Like if I just add like another one, it could be tier 4, bro. Because I don't think it's as bad as Umbreon. I really don't think it's as bad, bro. And I feel disrespectful putting it in with Umbreon. So yeah, I'm gonna put a tier 4, bro. Maybe it could rise back up in the meta. But that's my personal opinion. I'm gonna just put another tier 4 deck, bro, to be honest. Or actually, no, probably like tier 3. So Sylveon Magnezone. And whether you're playing this stuff like Tapu Lele, I don't think you even would play Tapu Lele currently because everything is like not. Maybe you would for like Darkrai Giratina just because you know that is a pretty meta relevant matchup. But something like Sylveon, you know, Sylveon EX, Tapu Lele, Magnezone is cool. Can beat Savali or Ikorio. You know, Magnezone can 2-shot something like an Espeon. You also could like maybe tech in some Oricorios or Darkrai Giratina. Magnezone has always been pretty decent against Buzz. However, like the Sylveon version, like you always can get your like Sylveon Cyrus back in. Yeah, so I think it's good. I don't think it's just anything crazy, dude. And maybe, you know, it rises back in the meta because, you know, so I feel like Magnezone is always one of those decks where like that picks up like week 2 or week 3 and like everyone realizes it's not like the, you know, the best deck, but it's always like pretty good. All right, for the next deck, dude, it's also new, and it was way overhyped. Like myself and hella other content creators thought it was gonna be like the new GOAT of Pokemon Pocket, like tier 1 deck. Crobat, I'm gonna put it in tier 2 for now, bro. It honestly could be a little bit worse. Out of curiosity, I'm not gonna look, bro. So the downside of the deck is that you are playing Crobat EX, and it is very similar situation to Zard, where like Zard can be better late game, you know, because it does 150 damage. Crobat's only doing 80 damage, you know, 70, and then the poison. So you want to see it early game as an early aggressive attacker. And if you don't, you're kind of cooked because you're playing usually like the best version is going to be Sylveon for the extra draw power. In Sylveon, because you are playing Dark Energy, means you can't attack with it, so it's essentially useless besides the draw engine. You know, you do have stuff like one Darkrai that decks are playing. However, like one Darkrai isn't going to do it, man. Like it can, don't get me wrong. Darkrai is still very strong on its own. However, why would you play Darkrai Crobat when you could just play Darkrai Giratina? However, I think if you go like second turn evolution, it's like a very strong or like very strong deck. However, very inconsistent. And yeah, maybe in the future, bro, if we ever get more consistency, some better dark cards to pair with, maybe that's not Darkrai, maybe like stuff in the future can be better. But I'm gonna say it's tier 2, man, because I just think the consistency in the matchups, it can be rough. I think the main thing is just the consistency, bro. I think that's just the main thing. I don't really think it has like too many bad matchups, or like if like I think like most of the matchups are like evenish, like not like hard losing. But yeah, I'm just gonna put Skarmory EX in tier 3. I've seen a couple different ones. I've seen like 2 Skarmory EXs, 1 Skarmory non-EX. I've seen like 2 Skarmory EXs solo. I've seen like 2 Skarmory EXs for like a Magerna. I've seen one with bro, I don't even remember what it was, bro, but essentially, bro, it's just like a new 18 trainer card deck, 70 trainer card deck. I don't think it's anything crazy, don't get me wrong. I don't think it's broken. Like maybe it could even be tier 3 because I feel like Donphan might be better. It did do pretty, like there was one top cut in the tournament, I think maybe top 32, maybe it was just top 64. However, dude, I almost just want to put tier 4, bro. But I don't think it's as bad. Like I think like I've seen it do better than Garchomp, but like it's not. I don't know, bro. Like going second, like you can be pretty unkillable. But like I think everything that's like essentially Skarmory wants to do, Espeon just does it better. So yeah, I'm just gonna put it at tier 3, bro. Actually, bro, maybe I should just be moving all these down. And like maybe I really should just put Garchomp and not that good right now. It's so hard to rate these like tier 3 and under decks for me. So I'm just going to put it in tier 3 for now. And I'm just going to leave it. And that should hopefully be good. So for the next deck, I'm going to put Dragonite, bro. Tier 3, bro. I almost want to put a tier 4. And I want to put it not really that good. I tried this deck, dude. This deck is so high rolly. You got to surf the baby Pokemon. You have to have the Lyras. It's like if you high roll, bro, sure, bro. A very strong deck. You know, doing 180 damage. You basically one-shot everything in the game. Besides like Charizard, that's meta relevant if they put a giant cape. But like you'd always play like stuff like Guzma or Red for that situation, and you know if it becomes hella meta relevant. But like, dude, it's just like it's such a god roll deck. Like because you're playing stuff like Pichu, like I've seen some Sylveon versions. I tried Sylveon Dragonite myself just for that extra draw power, and I would rather just play Zard, bro. Because at least Zard, you just need 1 energy. Finally, yeah, you're doing 150 damage, but like a player red bar, you basically won't shot anything anyways. I just think it's too high rolly, bro. I almost want to put a tier 4, but it has seen some results. I've seen people playing it, you know. So I'll put a tier 3 for now, but it could look be worse. And I want to put it worse, bro, but just because people have been cooking with it, bro, at least in the early tournaments. For now, I'll keep a tier 3, but I think as the meta progresses, I think I'm literally going to put it, bro, in tier 4. So the next dude is like Savali Rampardos, which is represented by this Rampardos, and I'm not too sure where I want to put this because it really hasn't seen any play. It really hasn't done any decent results, bro, as far as I'm aware of. And I think I've seen it maybe once in ranked. Like Buzzwole's meta relevant, bro, is like really good against that deck. Savali or Courier, you know, could just be fast. Like Savali Pichu or Zorora Birch can just be a faster, whether that's Dawn or just Pichu going first, can be a faster Savali deck. We even have stuff like Espeon, Leafeon that's pretty good. Like the 2 EV boxes are pretty decent against it. Darkrai Giratina is pretty decent against it. I'm just gonna put it in tier 4, man. Like I honestly haven't seen it. Like maybe it is really a tier 3 deck, but it's kind of just been MIA, man. And I really just think the Oricorio version of Savali is better. You know, God rolling with Rampardos pretty fast. You know, Rampardos is a very strong card. However, just has some awkward matchups. Maybe it really is tier 3, bro. And it probably is. It probably is tier 3, bro. It is Savali going second. I don't know, bro. It's just kind of MIA. I'm gonna put it tier 4, bro. It's MIA. Sure. Like maybe it's tier 3, tier 4. It doesn't really matter, bro. It's just not the best right now. Next up we have like these different Arceus variants, bro. So the main ones are like Arceus with like either Zorora Pichu or like Pichu Oricorio. And I think it's kind of like similar to the Dragonite situation. Like, or I've also seen stuff like Magby Heatran. I actually got cooked by that in the tournament in Swiss. It was my only loss in Swiss. And it's just one of those high roll decks, dude. Like if you start baby Pokemon going second or first, Arceus can attack pretty fast, either second or third turn. You know, if Elemental Switch Burst is a better way of being able to taunt because you get like Professor Research into it. You know, we all know Arceus can attack for 130 damage. And that is very powerful, bro, especially if you can do it. Like if everything's simple, where if you had like Pichu Arceus going second, a full board, your big Pokemon doesn't get knocked out. It's essentially, bro, just a better Savali because it's going to be doing 130 damage as a basic. You can play stuff like Ilima, pick it up. I think it's fine. I think it's very decent. I think it's tier 3. It's not the most popular. It's not the most consistent. But when you God roll, bro, it's going to feel like a top tier deck. When you don't, it's going to just feel like an average Arceus deck where you're playing a bunch of squishy Pokemon. And the energy management is going to be pretty hard because you will be playing like 2 energy attackers with like Arceus being a third one. So yeah. Next up for another tier 2 deck, bro, or just both of them. I think both Naganadel and then just Guzzlord are like pretty fine options for tier 2. You know, Buzzwole is very represented, but I think like Naganadel Guzzlord, you know, can go like evenish with Darktina. I think Naganadel or just Nihilego Guzzlord, but I think they're very good into stuff like Savali or Corio. I think the Espeon matchup is probably evenish. I think Leaf or like Leafeon Flareon EV box can do like pretty good against them as well. So like that's like one bad match. You have like 2 bad matchups that are meta relevant. Zard, you know, we have a pretty good Zard matchup as well. Like Sylveon Greninja, I would say was like a little bit iffy. Sylveon Greninja is not really meta relevant. I think it's fine, bro. I think it's fine. You know, you have the bad Buzz. I think it's kind of like where it was like in Extra Dimensional Crisis, where like you have that bad Buzz matchup and you have like a weird like EV box matchup. But besides that, dude, it's fine. You know, Grindcore is, you know, it was a win condition, knocking out early damage with a Nihilego, bro. It was a nice offensive 60 damage with the poison ticks. And yeah, bro, it's just one of those good decks. Like it's not insanely overtuned and it's not bad. It's just good, man. As someone who's played a lot of Guzzlord and ED Crisis, and I've been seeing it and I've been also like playing around with it, bro, I think it's fun. I think it's a very good like tier 2 deck. Like it maybe could even be like higher, bro, because I kind of do believe in it maybe more than like Crobat. So if I was ordering, bro, I'd probably do it like this. And yeah. Next up is going to be Solgaleo. So Solgaleo has like the same struggle as Zard. However, I think Zard just, you know, kind of does better against like everything. I also think like Genetic Apex Flareon is kind of better than Magerna. And it's kind of weird, dude, because like this whole kind of just fell off, bro. And that's mainly, it's really just because Oricorio. So, and also like the good matchups also are like less played, like stuff like Savali, or not Savali, but Sylveon and Greninja is pretty not played anymore. Yeah, I mean Dark Tina, I think I don't know if like they beat Dark Tina. I heard like Dark Tina players say they beat it, but I also said Soul players beat it. So I think, you know, if like you don't get Soul like right away, Dark Tina is probably bad, but right away, you know, they probably are pretty good, especially like with a red maybe. So like, dude, I feel like I almost need like a tier 2.5. Because I feel like I'm gonna put it in just tier 3 for now, bro. I think I think it's just very strong. I think it just has like less good matchups into the top meta. I think like the best one is going to be Buzzwole, and then like Psychic Eevee box. Yeah, it kind of just struggles against Oricorio, bro. That's like the main reason. It's also, you know, at the end of the day, it's not going to be the most consistent. It is going to be a high rolling deck with the Sylveon Solgaleo version. I don't think it's bad. I can see it rising back up, bro. If Buzz becomes one of the most played decks, like I think it can come back to a tier 2. Don't get me wrong. But I think currently right now it's like a 2.5. So I'm just going to put it like the top of 3. Because at the end of the day, I mean, Solgaleo probably is like overall better against all these decks than something like Donphan. But yeah, that's just where I'm going to place it for now. Also, I'm going to play Arceus over Dragonite because I just don't believe in Dragonite, bro. Actually, I think it's YouTube content, bro. But it had a result. So I'll just keep it there. Next up is going to be Tapu Koko Arceus, bro. So this is a tough one, bro, because it's like the deck has been getting like pretty decent results, but I see nowhere in ranked. It's just like another Oricorio deck. Like he got 5th place at the Frog EX, he got 10th place also at the Frog EX, and it has some like pretty decent results. But like in ranked, you don't see it. It's just like another Oricorio deck. Oricorio is very powerful. You know, you usually play Oricorio, Aurora, and stuff like Arceus. And I'm just gonna put it tier 2. I'm just gonna put tier 2, bro. I think it's a cool deck. I think it's strong. Not the best deck, you know, has some rough matchups. Like I think like Savali, you know, can be pretty bad because Savali's just so fast. I think Buzzwole does pretty good into it also. Darkrai, Giratina, I mean, besides like the Oricorios that they have, probably does decent into it. And I also think stuff like Espeon and Flareon. So I think it's good, bro. It has some bad matchups, but I don't think it's like as bad as these decks maybe. So I'm just gonna put it in tier 2, bro. I honestly, yeah, I don't know, bro. It's kind of weird, bro. I don't know how to explain some of these decks. But you know, you have like Tapu Koko for the aggressive 90 damage. You have Oricorio, which is just very good into all these EX Pokemon. And you have like stuff like Zorora that's pretty good going first, you know, combo that for Geo to be able to get a cheeky knockout. And then you have Arceus for like that late game attacker, bro. It kind of just like has everything. But like it definitely has some struggles. You know, bro, now that I'm looking at this, like maybe Savali Rampardos can be better at tier 3, and maybe Dragonite can move down. But I don't know, bro. Dude, maybe I should just, I don't know. However, we have Lugia Ho-Oh, bro. It's not that good. Like it's a fun deck, don't get me wrong, dude, but it's just like not the best partner because you can only attack once, so you have to attack twice with Ho-Oh, bro, and that's already a tall ask if you don't God roll. Like sure, you can God roll, bro, for big Pokemon, charge Ho-Oh, Pella fast, get 2 attacks up, charge the Lugia, but it's just not consistent, dude, by any means, and there's just better Pokemon to use Ho-Oh with. So I would honestly rather use like Ho-Oh Dragonite because at least I can attack Lyra, then attack again, or even stuff like Snorlax EX, which we will get into, which I also think is like a, dude, I don't even know. Probably is like a tier 4 deck, dude. It just got hella like it got like a hella good place in the Ursies. It made it into top 32. It was Ho-Oh, Giratina, Snorlax EX. But at the end of the day, dude, like I don't know what to put it, bro. It could be a tier 3 deck. It could be a tier 4. I don't know how good it is, bro. I really don't. I really don't, dude. So I'm gonna put a tier 4 for now because I'm not 100% sure. I do think it's probably better than the Lugia version. So I guess I'll also just put like Ho-Oh next to it because like it's like the main partner. Like these Ho-Oh decks are probably like our tier 4. They're not the best of the best. Like, you know, because like I said, if you God roll with them, bro, they're pretty good. But at the end of the day, you have to God roll because you have to like God roll, go on the Ho-Oh, and then you have to attack something else. And like if you are playing a baby Pokemon, bro, can you easily get knocked out. And then if your Ho-Oh takes damage after it attacks, his Ho-Oh is not going to be one-shot or something. You can always lose to a Cyrus, which I think is like the main problem. Like, yeah, you could use something like not Looker, but a Silver to get rid of the Cyrus. However, you know, it's always a downside. Yeah, but like I said, maybe it really is a tier 3 deck. Maybe it is better than Dragonite, bro. Maybe Dragon is a tier 4 deck. Who knows? Like this, honestly, like maybe there could even be like a tier 2, like 3.5 or a tier 2.5 to like kind of like separate some of these decks out. Wherever like the main ones are like tier 1, tier 1.5, and then tier 2. I think all these decks are pretty accurate. I don't think there's any deck like maybe Solgaleo, but like I said, can go back in the tier 2 as the meta develops and people realize that, you know, Solgaleo is still good against Buzzwole. Buzzwole becomes one of the most played decks because Dark Retina it becomes one of the most played decks. So it might be like a weird cycle in the top tier decks. You know, it's also pretty good in the Espeon. Like the main weakness, like I said, bro, is just Oricorio, which is like very dominant and like heavily played at the moments. I even could just put, I'm just gonna put Lugia, bro, of Umbreon. I'm gonna be real, bro. It's not that good. It's not that good. So I'm gonna put Lugia with I think that's the last change I'm gonna do. Yeah, dude, it's always hard for me to do these deck tier lists because I just kind of like do them based off vibes, and it's hard for me to explain it in my head. Hopefully everything makes sense, and let me know in the comments if it does. Anyways, I think that does it for the tier list. Peace out, have a lovely day, and I'll update it, you know, once we go more, like we develop the meta more in the upcoming weeks.